So video game remakes and remasters are a very hot topic in the gaming community. They can either go one of two ways. They're either celebrated and they're universally loved, or they are the worst thing on God's green earth and they're lazy, broken cash grabs. I think the truth of the whole matter, like with a lot of things, lies kind of in the middle. I think it all depends on how it's handled. I think remakes like Halo Campaign Evolved are a great example. The recent Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced was actually so successful that Ubisoft now thinks that remakes are now more profitable than new original games. I think it's kind of a catch-22. The problem is the consumer knows BS from a mile away. The reason remakes are so profitable, especially now, two things: nostalgia and burnout. So modern games are very specific in how they're built, and you'll understand what I mean when you load up Call of Duty or Battlefield or Fortnite or 2K. All of them, even the most recent Borderlands entry, have all of these live servicey, fear of missing out, predatory microtransactions, item shops, battle passes, stuff like that. The games feel more like platforms to sell you things instead of just being an entertaining product that you want to buy. So what happens is they're weaponizing nostalgia, which usually you can kind of suss out and you decide not to do, but because there's nothing else good to play, the remake becomes extremely successful because we're bringing back something we also know is good. There's much less risk on the consumer for wasting what is now the minimum of $70 for a game nowadays. There's much less risk of me not enjoying my time if I buy Black Flag Resynced than a new Assassin's Creed like Shadows. The risk versus reward there is very, very different. Even for the company, it's very different. A new IP is a massive gamble, and a lot of new companies don't want to do that. Look at Concord and how much of a failure that was. That's how you don't handle a new IP. So the reason these remakes and remasters keep coming is, well, because we keep buying them, and I'm one of the people that buys them as well, because a lot of these games are just blanket better than anything we've had now. So if I'm going to spend my time or money on a modern game, I don't mind it if it's handled right, being a game from my childhood or I played 10 plus years ago, revamped and packaged in a way that makes it run better and more convenient to access. I love my PlayStation 3, but it's starting to act a little weird, and my PlayStation 2 is on its last leg. The fact that they ported the Sly Cooper trilogy to the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, Sony will always have eternal gratefulness from me, because I named my son after these games, and they mean a lot to me. So the fact that I can access them on modern systems, the convenience factor and the preservation of it, I'm all for that. I think there's a specific way you can handle this. Now, constantly remastering games, like in the case of The Last of Us, which didn't even need remasters at all, that's a good example of a lazy cash grab. That's what I don't like. The only time it was okay to remaster it, in my opinion, was from the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4, just because backwards compatibility wasn't a thing. But they went way farther with it in the case of The Last of Us. I think that's where the issue comes up. When they realize that we are just purchasing nostalgia, they're just going to double down on it. And that's when you get really bad remasters and really bad ports. The Black Ops 1 and 2 ports are a shining example of how to do this. Call of Duty is at an all-time low. Black Ops 7 is the worst-selling Call of Duty in the last 20-plus years of the franchise having annual releases, and then out of nowhere, they drop Black Ops 1 and 2, and there's now more people playing Black Ops 2 on the PS5 than Fortnite, which is a free-to-play game. That's insane to me. So that should show you how powerful nostalgia and consumer bias is. We know the game is good, of course we're gonna get it, especially if it's not being sold for full price. If they drop the remaster for $40 to $50 instead of the universal $70, or in the case of Grand Theft Auto 6, trying to get $100 out of you, we're going to jump on it. So I think this is going to start an industry trend, especially for the mid to late 2000s games. They're going to get remastered like crazy. Be ready for way more Assassin's Creed 4 and Black Ops 2s to come back than getting something new like Shadows or Halo Infinite. This is the time of the early to mid 2000s nostalgia wave, and it's going to hit like a truck, and it's going to cause the industry to implode. I know, you didn't expect me to say that because I'm pretty positive about this. it's going to cause the industry to implode because nothing new is going to be made. And what's going to happen is they're going to realize they're running out of remasters that they can get cash grabs for, and they're going to turn to the one thing they shouldn't, which is already purveying itself into the industry with deep roots, and it's generative AI. What's going to happen is that all these remasters are going to keep coming out, and when they run out of the original good stuff to repackage and resell, they're going to turn to AI and try to recreate the wheel using that. And that's what I think is going to kill the industry. I think the remakes and remasters are great for consumers who want to relive good games, but the overall negative impact over time is going to be them falling back on generative AI because they're not creative enough and they're not smart enough to try to make something new or give someone who cares the resources to make something new. And they're going to lay those employees off, and they're just going to throw, for example, the original Sly Cooper trilogy into AI and say, make a new Sly Cooper game. And it's going to be awful, and I'm not looking forward to it. But for the time being, I appreciate most of the remakes we get, and I think they're a good thing for the consumer.